What's going on, guys? It's been a little while, a month or so. I've had a lot of health things going on, family things going on, just been super busy. So, took some time away from this stuff. But also, um, I got this Xbox in. We're going to be looking at this in today's video. We're going to hopefully use this one to swap the motherboards in and make sure this one's working 100%. If so, then I'll be looking to get rid of probably the eyeball Xbox. That one actually has some value to it, and I know it works very solid. Been using it a lot. I don't mind keeping the non-HDMI for myself, since I also have my Slim, which is HDMI. But I definitely want to keep one of the 360 Fat water-cooled builds. So, yeah, that's what we're going to look at today. Let's go ahead and take a look at this eBay find. I was hoping could replace the stealth build motherboard. Now I'm still gonna mess with that motherboard, but I figured if I could find one super cheap, I might as well order it to have a backup. Since this is a Xenon first gen non-HDMI, it's the same one that I did the stealth build on. So I found this for literally like $10. I'm pretty sure shipping was like $6. So now this was labeled as an untested system, which I always have a hard time believing, even though I haven't really been scammed on it yet. Not that I could call it a scam if it doesn't work, but I feel like it's just an easy cop-out if there's like a red ring of death or something wrong with the system. Just say, oh, it's untested. I don't have a power supply. Test it. But some good news. USB door is not broken. Uh, Honestly, overall, this thing isn't in that bad a shape. Now, I could have swore, at first I thought they painted the vents, but I think some of these older ones had an actual silver instead of like the gray, like on the power brick there. Looking at the back of it, this is the bottom, I just wanted to show that. Look at that, that's weird. It doesn't look like it's been mutilated right here where you would take the case apart. I also found, taking our faceplate off, there we go. Look at that warranty sticker, which sort of looks like it's still intact, maybe? I don't know. Usually you can tell by, there's a little silver piece of tape holding the DVD drive to the metal case on the front side. So, who knows? I think it's been taken apart before. I obviously wouldn't be surprised. It does look like there's some missing stuff going on in that. But, anyway, let's go ahead and plug it in, test it out. Alright, so of course we have our 230 watt power supply. No HDMI, so we've got our component cable here. This is an HDMI only TV, so I have a adapter right there that I originally used for our PS2 Slim, which is upstairs, it's not over there. So, we've got it inputted, let's go ahead and fire away. Would you look at that? Working great. I think this is, my adapter is set to 720p, so it's not fantastic, but hey, it seems to be working. Now when I first turned it on, it did have the message that your Xbox is designed to shut itself off if there's insufficient ventilation, so who knows, maybe it had the red ring. Of course. That seems to be a more common issue buying these used 360s than the red ring of death, and that's that it powers on, but the DVD drive is just kind of jammed, so I have to go ahead and take it apart, clean it up, see if everything's good, and we can use it to swap over the stealth build onto, as long as this one seems to be working better than the other one. Alright, we got this one taken apart. Now, it is clear to me that it has been taken apart. One, from all the broken plastic clips that are falling all over the place. Two, we got, these aren't the right screws to hold the X-clamps in from factory. And there's actually a second problem. In the past, you've seen me take these apart and see, oh, you can see the screws through the holes. Somebody replaced the X-clamps. It was either a red ring of death fix or a preemptive, trying to prevent the red ring of death from happening. However, I have never seen those screws on the outside of the metal case. That has me very worried. That's not how they're meant to go. They should screw on the heat sinks to the motherboard, and then you put the motherboard in the metal case, put it all back together. Or factory, you do the exact same thing, and then when you put it all back together, then there's additional little screws that go on the outside just to hold all that in place. So in order to get these on, that means they put the motherboard in, then the heat sinks, and tried to put these screws through all three of those. Now there's also a gap, that's why these screws can fit on the inside before putting, the metal case on. So there's a little bit of gap in there. And that's also so that the factory screws, obviously, there's, like I said, screws on the inside, so there's a gap between the metal case and the motherboard where these go in. So that means if they put these on later, they bent the motherboard, most likely. So we'll have to see what they did there. Especially, there's no way you can get washers in there when it's all sandwiched together. There's just no way to do that. So if there's no washers and they just screwed these in, that's not good. However, obviously, we saw that this case, or this system was working, so I don't know. We'll see what it looks like. But we're going to get this the rest of the way apart and pretty much just swap it over to the other system that we just finished, our stealth build. All we need is the motherboard from the inside and the DVD drive. So, yeah, let's get to that. Now, before I dive into this too much, I've got to clean this mess up. So I brought a stack of these down. I've also been spending a lot of time reorganizing the room that has all of the game systems and collectible stuff and whatever, and the projector. So yeah, we need to clean all this up. This is from taking apart many systems, working on a few different projects at a time. So we got reservoirs and just probably lots of screws and ring of light boards and all kinds of random stuff. So we're going to reorganize the screws back in here. We're actually going to move all this stuff upstairs, clean it up, so we can actually work on this stuff in an area that has several tables. Be a lot easier. Plus, for the holidays, I want this table cleared off. So anyway, let's get to it. Okay, we got this thing open. It's clearly going to need a good amount of cleaning. All I see is a lot of dust, though. I'm not seeing any, like, rusty capacitors or anything like that. DVD drive, same thing. This one wasn't really wanting to open, but you could hear it spinning and everything, which is usually the case. Now, bad news, literally just taking this apart, these two corners completely just came off. I think they were already cracked. So, luckily though, with these drives, there's no wires soldered on. Everything is just a ribbon cable. So I'll probably just take that board off and put it on our other one. So yeah, let's finish taking this apart and get the board cleaned up, and then we'll have to take this one apart. Okay, so earlier I mentioned they probably didn't use washers. They did. They somehow, you can see one here, got washers, I assume around all of them, in between the board and the frame, made sure they didn't move out of place while they then put both heat sinks on and screwed them on without those sliding around. So That's crazy. We can also see there's barely any thermal paste on there. There's a little bit of residue here. It looks terrible. I almost think that this was a working system that somebody tried to do preventative maintenance on, but there's no way they changed that out because it just looks like the original thermal paste. I've also never seen, I mean, maybe I have, but this metal plate here over this side chip, so we'll see if that's screwed on from the back side. I don't know if that was something somebody actually added on or if that's something some of the original systems had. Yeah, let's keep going. Alright, same thing under this heat sink. There's pretty much nothing on there. You can see how shiny the chip is. Other than the dust and some of the weird modifications, I've also never seen screws this long on these. And not all of them had washers. But if you ignore the dust, the rest of the motherboard actually looks really clean. Nothing looks bent or scratched or anything. All our capacitors look really nice, and we know some of the ones in this one were rusty. So that mixed with the error code message problem on this one, that's why we're kind of just swapping this one out. So let's take the rest of the screws off that hold the motherboard in, and then we'll get this all cleaned up. Put all this other stuff away, and then start taking this one apart. Okay, so this system is a little weirder than I thought. You can see the screws here where they mounted that one plate, and then there's this big plate here on the bottom, and it's attached somehow. I don't know if they glued it in place or what. They also drilled these out bigger for some reason. So I'll have to see what's holding this on. You can see it's also covered in like grease. I thought it was water, but I think it's just grease or like a oil or something. So I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so it looks like they actually used like double-sided padded tape. A little square here and square here. I don't know if I'll be able to get this off, but because of the space there, they just kind of stacked up some washers in between the plate and the motherboard. So first I'm going to get this cleaned up, get these pads off, see if it's going to want to come off. I don't want to be prying it and bending the board at all. I don't know, maybe we'll be able to use this plate. I like the idea that so that no warping goes on in the middle. That seems to be a big problem where the system will work, but if something gets tightened down too much on one side and it kinks the board, it'll then throw the error. So let's get all this oil cleaned off. It's all over the board. It looks like it's just kind of smeared around. And I'll see if I can get this off. Alright, so I don't want to try and get that plate off. I want to first see if we can just use it to put our water block on. Maybe that'll help it stay more sturdy. I don't know if I'll have to drill out more on the frame to get the screws to fit, but the ones on the water block are very thin, so maybe it'll be fine. But we're going to start that in the next video, because now I just need to clean all this, put it aside, and start taking this one apart so we can get the parts off and see if that's all going to work fitting on this motherboard. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe.